You know, we've got user manuals for our phones, our cars, even our coffee makers. But what about the most complex and important thing we'll ever operate? Our own mind. Well, today, we're diving into an ancient conversation with the Buddha that offers exactly that, a clear, practical, step-by-step guide to training our own awareness. I mean, who hasn't wished for that, right? We have guides for assembling furniture, for learning to code, for just about everything. But a user manual for our own mind? Turns out, someone had that exact same thought about 2,500 years ago, and he decided to go ask the expert. And that someone was a Brahmin named Gaṇaka Moggallāna. Now, this was a guy who was a thinker, an accountant, a man who really appreciated logic and order in the world. And so he went to the Buddha with a very practical, very reasonable question. So Moggallāna, he's looking at the world around him, and he notices this really obvious pattern. To get good at anything, whether it was art, a trade, you name it, you needed a gradual process. You don't just wake up one day and become an expert. It takes steps. He actually starts with his own job as an example. As an accountant, a Gaṇaka, he knew you teach a student by starting with the absolute basics. First, you teach them 1 is 1, 2 is 2, and you build on that, piece by piece, until they can handle the really complex stuff. It's simple, it's logical, and it works. And then he brings up another example, an archer. You don't just hand someone a bow and arrow and expect them to hit the bullseye. No way. You teach them how to stand, how to hold the bow, how to draw the string back, how to aim. It's a gradual training, a gradual process, a gradual path. So all of this thinking leads him to this really, really sharp question for the Buddha. He basically asks, Venerable Gautama, I see this principle of step-by-step learning everywhere in the world. Can the same thing be found in your spiritual discipline? Is there a gradual step-by-step method for what you teach? And the Buddha's answer? It's a big yes. But instead of just launching into some complex philosophical lecture, he does something brilliant. He uses a powerful analogy that a practical guy like Moggallāna would have understood immediately: taming a wild horse. He compares himself to a master horse trainer. Think about it. A really good trainer doesn't try to break a wild horse, right? They gentle it. And the very first thing they do is get the horse used to the bridle. Well, that bridle, he says, is like sīla, or moral virtue. It's that foundational act of restraint and guidance. Only after that crucial first step is in place can any of the more advanced training even begin. Okay, so once that bridle of virtue is on, what comes next? Well, this is where we get into the real heart of the training, and you can see how each step builds on the last in this beautifully logical way. And you can really see the logic here, can't you? It starts with virtue, our external actions. Then the training moves inward. We guard the senses to manage what's coming into our minds. Then we practice moderation in eating, which is a really practical form of self-control. After that comes wakefulness, keeping the mind bright and alert. And then total awareness in every single thing we do. And it's only after all of that is solid that one seeks out a quiet place for deep meditation. Each step is the foundation for the next one. It's perfect. So, you can imagine Moggallāna is just loving this. This is exactly the kind of clear, structured system he was hoping for. But his logical mind isn't done yet. He's got a follow-up question, and wow, it's a tough one. And this is such a great question, isn't it? He's basically saying, look, if the destination, nibbana, is real, and the path you've laid out is perfect, and you, the guide, are perfect, then why doesn't everyone who follows you make it? Why isn't it a 100% success rate? It's a profound question about personal responsibility. And the Buddha, again, instead of giving some dry, abstract answer, he tells another story. Super simple, but with a really deep point. This time, it's about a guide who knows the way to the great city of Rajagaha. So, imagine 2 different travelers come up to this guide. They both ask for directions to Rajagaha. The guide gives them the exact same set of perfect instructions. Now, the first traveler, they listen carefully, they follow the road, and boom, they arrive safe and sound. But the second traveler, they hear the very same instructions, and then they just ignore them, take a wrong path, and end up totally lost. The point is brilliant. The outcome didn't depend on the guide. It depended on who actually followed the direction. And this is the brilliant part. The Buddha flips the question right back to Moggallāna. He says, okay, Brahmin, let's say you're the guide in this story. The city is real, the path is real, you're standing right there giving perfect directions. What are you supposed to do about that second traveler who gets lost? And that question, it leads Moggallāna straight to the core of the issue, to the critical difference between being a guide and, well, carrying someone to their destination. And Moggallāna, he gets it in a flash. He replies, "What can I do? Nothing more. My job is to show the way." The Pali word he uses is maggakayayiham. I am a shower of the way. I can point to the path, but I can't walk it for him. And that's when the Buddha brings it all home. He says, exactly. In the very same way, the goal of Nibbana exists, the gradual path to it exists, and I, the Tathagata, am here to point it out. The teacher provides the map, a perfect map, but you have to be the one to actually take the step. And for Moggallāna, you can just feel his relief and excitement. It's like a huge light bulb just went on. Everything, the path, the goal, the teacher's role, it all just clicked into perfect, logical focus. He was absolutely thrilled. And he expresses this joy with some really beautiful language. He says the Buddha's advice is like the ultimate fragrance. It's superior to the best root scents, better than the best heartwood scents, better than the best flower scents. The Buddha's advice, he says, is the supreme teaching of all. So this whole conversation from thousands of years ago leaves us with a really personal question, doesn't it? The map is there, the instructions are crystal clear. The only variable is what we choose to do with them. So the question isn't whether the path works, it's which traveler will you choose to be?